have more to say about that. I do want to point out that various articles that appeared prior to my entering office, and here's one. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. That is amazing. And then it says FAA says people with severe disabilities are most represented segment of the workforce, and they want them, they can be air traffic controllers. I don't think so. This was in January 14th, so that was a week before I entered office. They put a big push to put diversity into the FAA's program. Then another article, the Federal Aviation Administration, this was before I got to office, recently, second term. The FAA is actively recruiting workers who suffer severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric problems, and other mental and physical conditions under a diversity and inclusion hiring initiative spelled out on the agency's website. Can you imagine? These are people.
Trump did not mince words. He is openly blaming DEI initiatives as having, at least in part, contributed to the terrible plane crash last night at Reagan National Airport when an American Airlines passenger jet collided there with an Army helicopter as it approached the national runway, killing everyone involved. Now, what Trump's getting at there is you heard him citing numerous reports detailing how the FAA was prioritizing the hiring of individuals based on DEI initiatives as opposed to hiring based solely and strictly on their competence and merit. And the reports got frankly absurd when apparently those DEI initiatives even included individuals with, quote, severe intellectual disabilities. And Trump today at this press conference brought the receipts. Check it out.
Targeted disabilities are those disabilities that the federal government, as a matter of policy, has identified for special emphasis in recruitment and hiring. The FAA's website states they include hearing, vision, missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy, severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, and dwarfism all qualify for the position of a controller of airplanes pouring into our country, pouring into a little spot, a little dot on the map, a little runway.
Yeah, so as you can see, Trump absolutely tore into these DEI initiatives at the press conference, and his most, shall we say, scathing critique he saved for the ridiculous former transportation secretary who oversaw this mess.
Yeah, which is overseen by Secretary Pete Buttigieg, a real winner. That guy's a real winner. Do you know how badly everything's run since he's run this Department of Transportation? He's a disaster. He was a disaster as a mayor. He ran his city into the ground, and he's a disaster now. He's just got a good line of bullshit.
Dang, Mr. President, don't hold back. Tell us how you really feel there. I mean, you could clearly see. I've been reading some of our MAGA folk, or probably people who were on the border who ended up voting because of Bobby Kennedy and so forth, voting for Trump. I've seen some of them get a little bit upset at Trump for going there, but I'm sorry. You can tell, if we've been following Trump now for nearly a decade, you can tell he's very upset. He's very mad. He even at one point, and this to me was the most suggestive moment of the press conference, he suggested that were the Democrats not able to get away with what they did in 2020, none of this would have ever happened. That's, as it were, the specter that stalked that whole conference. You could tell how viscerally he feels that. I won't say there's a responsibility that he has for it, but there's just this sense of anger. That it's a refrain we hear from Trump over and over again. August 15th, right? That disastrous Afghan that killed what's 13 of our finest. That would never have happened if Democrats weren't allowed to get away with 2020. They'd still be alive. You heard him say that over and over. Russia would never have invaded Ukraine. October 7th. None of this would have happened had Trump been in office. Or yesterday, when he signed the Laken Riley Act into law. He said that explicitly. This should never have happened. This should never have happened. So you have to understand, I do think there's a very visceral Trump. That's what's weighing on Trump today. So much tragedy, so much needless horror that never had to happen did, precisely because we got such a corrupt system. And here we are. And it's not just President Trump, by the way. Here's our wonderful new Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, at the same press conference.
Pertains to the DoD as well. We will have the best and brightest in every position possible. As you said in your inaugural, it is merit-based. The best leaders possible, whether it's flying Black Hawks and flying airplanes, leading platoons, or in government. The era of DEI is gone at the Defense Department, and we need the best and brightest, whether it's in our air traffic control, or whether it's in our jets, or whether it's...
Yeah, this is the entire administration saying media, and the legacy media tried to push back on this, but you can tell they were so tired. They're so overwhelmed. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. So you're blaming diversity? Yeah. In these stupid DEI initiatives. Sheriffs in town, that's exactly what we're doing. The entire administration's doing. And they just look, I'm sorry, they look, even CNN, they look so defeated. By the way, a Daily Wire correspondent got called out today at the, or called, I guess I should say, at the press conference. That's kind of cool. So now we're beginning to see the alternative media, which is, as Elon likes to remind us, is the new media. We are the mainstream media now. She got called, asked a great question of how does not what happened last night, does it not make you appreciate the fact that your transportation secretary got approved? And does this not now all the more hasten the need for or intensify the need for the hastening of the approval of his other secretary cabinet? It was an excellent question. No one at CNN would ever ask that question. Now, I want to circle back on the concerns over DEI in a moment, but first, I did want to share with you what I think's the best analysis of the crash that I've read thus far. A big shout out to Larry Schweikert, by the way, for posting this on his X account. That's how I found it. I'm curious what you think. Let us know in the chat. This is from a U.S. Coast Guard helicopter pilot. Numerous times. He's at the X handle R Aviation. And this really is the best assessment of what happened that I've seen thus far. Again, let us know what you think in the chat. You've got a better one, a comparable one, and the like. But I'll read it for you. But I will I hope to stop here or there and explain. A lot of people are asking what the helicopter was doing there. I'm a U.S. Coast Guard helicopter pilot who's flown that route 1,000 times. And zones designed to organize helicopter traffic and route it under and around commercial traffic. Route 4 down the east side of the Potomac, 100 feet. It's not uncommon for helicopters to be flying under. Once visual separation is established and with correct altitudes maintained. From the ADS-B data, that's the automatic dependent surveillance broadcast. So it uses GPS satellites and other navigation tools to help determine an aircraft's location at any given time. From the ADS-B data, it looks like the helicopter was southbound on Route 4, and the airliner was going on to runway 33. Here's one plausible scenario. Just one that fits the facts we know right now. We could be totally wrong, but here it is. Landing on 33, that's the runway, is not as common as landing on runway 1. Airliners are often not cleared switch for runway 33 until just a few miles south of the Wilson Bridge. Let's say the H-60, so that's the helicopter, is southbound, and it's told to maintain visual separation with the landing CRGs. That's the airliner. The helicopter crew may not have caught that the jet or the airliner in question was landing at 33, which is less common. They look south and they see lights of the next aircraft line up for runway 1, and they report, yeah, we see it. It can contain visual separation. Then south, looking south. Now, maybe the CRJ is a little low on their approach. That's the airliner is a little low on their approach, or the helicopter is accidentally a little high on their route and fails to see the airliner approaching from their block. The airliner is focused on DCA, that's Reagan National, which is surrounded by a sea of lights in the metro area. They don't notice one small set of lights out of place at their 1 to 2 o'clock. As they focus on the runway, the controller believes the helicopter will maintain visual separation, so wouldn't suspect a problem, but he's focusing on the wrong plane. And it's too late. And boom, or bam, as he said. So when all is said and done, the helicopter thought it was distancing itself from the correct plane, which is the one landing on runway 1. And they assumed that because that's the usual runway. They didn't realize they were supposed to be looking for the other plane. Because of the light pollution, the helicopter's lights blended in with the city's lights. So you got 2 airplanes coming on different runways, and it wasn't made clear that there were 2 or which aircraft the helicopter was supposed to ID and distance itself from. Either way, it was an absolute tragedy, which leads us full circle here with Trump's press conference and his blaming of the erosion of competence in the FAA because of its diversity initiatives. Apart from him being upset, right? Apart from him, just that recurring refrain, if they didn't get away with 2020, none of this would have ever happened. Apart from that, we have to understand the role of something called Bioleninism in this, because I think Trump, again, draws from this frame of reference, whether he knows the term or not, because Bioleninism has been brought to the fore in explaining this crisis of competency that we're experiencing as a nation, particularly after 4 years of Biden. Obviously, if you watch those Senate hearings, those circuses of RFK and Tulsi and Cash, they're doing great. But I mean, you just look at those Democrat senators, one after one, the onesies. I mean, that's their best and brightest. I mean, let that hit you. That's as good as it gets for the Democrats. And many have noted that this notion of Bioleninism helps explain both the Democrat crisis of incompetence, or Democrat crisis of competence, as well as the larger national crisis of competence, wherever DEI has reigned supreme for the last several years. So, what's Bioleninism? It's very simple. So, Soviet Leninism or Marxist Leninism was organized fundamentally around ideological fidelity. So Marx provided the ideology, right? The ideology of communism, 19th century. But then Lenin, early 20th century, provided the structure for the revolution. And Lenin put people in key leadership roles based primarily on their fidelity to Marxist ideology. Bioleninism, rooted in identity politics, has a comparable revolutionary structure, but its basis for promotion is different. Bioleninism promotes its members not on the basis of ideological conformity, but instead on the basis of one's identity markers, literally how many boxes they can check off with this hire. So what's the inevitable problem here? Well, with competence no longer part of the screening process for who gets promoted to positions of leadership, Bioleninism inevitably promotes those least qualified for leadership positions. Those who, in a meritocratic system, would never in a million years even be considered for such positions. These are the ones who end up basically governing and operating our institutions. And they're the ones least qualified to be governing and operating because the basis for their promotion had nothing to do ultimately with competence. So I mean, I simply can't think of a better summary of how we get someone like Pete Buttigieg or Kamala Harris for that matter, right? Or more recently, Karen Bass, the mayor of LA. These are the least qualified people on the planet, and yet they're being given the highest ranking jobs. Why? Well, if it's not their qualifications and competence, what is it? It's precisely these DEI standards that DEI advocates require. So this is what Trump was absolutely railing against at the press conference today. And not just Haig said, well, the whole, they are absolutely united in almost like fashion to take on the media with this. The days of DEI have come to an end. DEI is dead. And the horrific tragedy we all witnessed last night has only steeped Trump commit. You all know that I'm passionate about the fact that we sit in a nation if we don't first take care of ourselves, and health actually starts with our livers. Now, if you think about it, we throw everything at our livers: cholesterol, alcohol, toxins, Tylenol, statins, cigarettes, you name it. That's why so many of us have a sluggish, fatty liver that makes us gain weight and lose energy. But thanks to today's sponsor, there's a very real solution. Liver Health Formula is an all-natural supplement which contains 12 clinically proven botanicals that help recharge and protect your liver. It's manufactured right here in the USA and approved by independent American doctors. And if you click on that link below right now, you can try Liver Health Formula and receive a free bottle of blood sugar formula when you order today. So don't let a fatty liver keep you sluggish and inactive. Gang, you know, for me, this is very, very personal. I myself recently lost over 60 pounds, and I can say it was one of the best decisions I ever made. So now it's your turn. Click on that link below or go to getliverhelp.com/Turley and claim your free bonus gift. That's getliverhelp.com/Turley. All right, gang, as you know, this week, China's new AI, deepseek, has been all over the news. It's reportedly been created at significantly lower costs than what are required by the platforms and infrastructures of American AI, costs that bear the significant burden for venture capitalists and investors. However, while China may have built a better mousetrap, in trying out this technology, users are quickly finding out how ideologically primed it is, particularly in favor of the ideals and governance of the CCP. And this isn't just an issue with Chinese technology. There have been countless examples of wokeness infiltrating Western AI over the past several years as well. They actually have a name for it. It's called algorithmic justice. I kid you not, algorithmic justice. I mean, think about when Google's AI depicted images of popes and Vikings and other European medieval figures as people of color. I mean, clearly we're seeing alarming trends of AI becoming more and more politicized. The consequences are dire. Biased algorithms perpetuate lies and partisan talking points and disenfranchise individuals who seek truth over ideology. So what does that mean for us as AI technologies continue to embed themselves deeper into our daily routines? And what can we do in response? Well, here's where our good friend Larry Ward, an expert on the intersection of technology and societal values, comes in. Make sure to click on the link below and check out Larry's website, In Service of Humanity, to learn more about his mission to ensure AI is properly, ethically overseen in AI serves a humanity and future of human flourishing. So, Larry, great to see you again, my friend. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's an honor. Well, we had a great time a couple of weeks back in DC. It was a little chilly, but it was awesome.
It was more than a little chilly.
It was more. Yes, it was. Yes, chilling. I think Hannity put it as.
That's the
yeah,
right
but excuse me. We had a great night. I'm from the New York area, and really cool that the New York Republican Ball was just across the way, and it was just awesome. I mean, everybody was just having such a amazing night of fellowship, celebrating the great victory.
Absolutely.
We got to talk about AI. If we're going to have MAGA victory for a generation to come, we got to talk about the future. You've been closely following AI's evolution. Can you briefly share with the audience your work in this field and explain what's really going on with the wokeness and the biases in AI?
I absolutely can. And just to give your audience a little background on me, we've been in business for about 30 years, the last 20 in politics, and we're an agency that builds our own marketing tech. So we have our own content management platform. We have our own email marketing platform. Last year, we delivered about 7 billion emails for conservative causes and media outlets. And we learned early on, like in 2004, we were the first organization ever to call out Google for its bias in its ad algorithm. We put an ad up for a conservative candidate. It was denied. I put the same ad with the same words for a Democrat just to see what would happen. They accepted it.
No
I did this over and over again just to make sure it wasn't a fluke. And absolutely was true that Google was a tinfoil hat, for the first decade or so. That was
you and Robert Kennedy. Yeah, that's right. what the conspiracy theory is.
So we to call out Facebook, as a matter of fact. So Facebook incident, of course you do. We put up a meme and it said, when Obama called the SEALs, they got bin Laden. When the SEALs called Obama, they got denied. And it went incredibly viral. 25,000 shares in an hour. And you don't see activity like that. Even back then, you didn't see activity like that. And then so I went back and looked like an hour later, and it was pulled down. And Facebook said that we had violated their terms of service. So I put it back up and I said, we did not violate your terms of service. And they suspended our account for doing that. So I called my buddy at Breitbart, AWR, Hawkins, and he put up a story, Facebook censors the SEALs. Well, Drudge picked it up. It went, call it the meme heard around the world at that point, before Drudge lost his mind, of course.
Right. This is back in the day. Everyone needs to know, Larry. You are on the front lines of this stuff. You are on the front. Yeah. You were forming a parallel economy before there was even a parallel economy.
Absolutely. And so by the way, quick story. So Facebook called me, and they said, if you say that we didn't censor you, we'll give you $10,000.
Yeah, you mentioned it that night. That was great. I could not believe that.
And I said absolutely not. This is for a veterans group. And not only do I respect them with everything I have, they're former SEALs and ran missions in Vietnam. I'm a little scared of them, so there's no way I'm going to do it. So they went up to $50,000 before I put my account back 30. the beginning. And of course, we saw 2020 with COVID and the election censorship, and with our own infrastructure, our own products, our own IP addresses, became a sanctuary for conservative causes, media outlets, and such. And during all of that censorship, I honestly believe this: if it wasn't for us, our platform helping these companies, they might. That's hard to say, but I think it's true.
But I couldn't agree with you more. Elon was getting this alternative news somewhere. He was getting it and saying, why is this getting banned? Why is this I mean, he's upset right now with what he's seeing in Europe, just the way they're banning free speech left and right. So it's very similar. I think he saw originally posts from Post-Millennial and the like, Breitbart and so forth. Why does this keep getting banned? By the way, I mean, I do research every day. I use a bunch of search engines. Yeah, good luck finding a Breitbart article when you put in a search engine term. I mean, you'll never see a Breitbart article. I mean, I could put literally Breitbart article, and there will be nothing. It'll be the Washington Post, far right Breitbart, proven wrong again, blah blah blah. So
exactly.
where does the AI comes? So you've been on the actually, before we do that, because I'm curious here on this issue, because you're on the forefront of social media, and thank you for that. That's huge. I mean, we owe a lot to you. Just this whole well, I was going to say parallel ecosystem, but Larry, I think Elon's right. I think we're it now, man. We're like the mainstream. This is what's so crazy. I mean, we're still dealing with big tech not knowing where to go, though they seem to be turning right. They have I think somebody else bigger than they are, an offer they can't refuse. But how did we get to this point where algorithms were so deeply embedded in the systems we rely on?
Well, look, there's no surprise that Silicon Valley resides in San Francisco.
Right.
Right. So built Facebook, all these are pretty English facts. And there's a reason why it in the most liberal city in America. Right. And they basically built a walled garden of liberal ideology, so that they could manipulate and control what people think on the internet. And their fruit became very, very clear. You saw, like you said, you can't find Breitbart on Google. Google is obviously still censoring as much as they can. China, like you said, DeepSeek, you can't ask DeepSeek. And by the way, don't download DeepSeek. Don't add it to your apps, your app store. Don't do anything with DeepSeek. DeepSeek said, China said that they built their LLM for $6 million, and the world said, "Wow, that's incredible." When did we start believing China? True. Was it when was it when they said that the COVID virus came from a bat soup? We don't believe China. Don't start believing China just because you think that they can create AI for $6 million. It means nothing. That being, and any technology from China is dangerous. Don't download TikTok until it's in American hands, and don't download and put DeepSeek on your machines.
So you're talking from a surveillance perspective?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, don't trust Chinese, anything developed from the Chinese government. Yeah. And so you got to be very, very, very careful when you're doing that. But that being said, if I do believe that they did it less expensively. And I do believe that it is possible to train LLMs less expensively. I think the big guys also believe that you can train LLMs less expensively. I think the news that came out that it was going to cost $1 billion to train an LLM was to keep small players out of the market. And I also think that there's a bit of propaganda going on right now, because that news about DeepSeek training for $6 million, that came before the end of the year. That came out in 2024. Most people who follow AI knew that. So why did it just all of a sudden rock our markets the other day? And the reason is, in my opinion, that the players in the US wanted to create a Sputnik moment, a moment to create an AI race and to push the government to relent on regulations, to open the floodgates so that they can design AI any way they want without any kind of oversight or review. And
Right.
look, it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
It's
What is
very dangerous.
what bottom line, Larry, if you could give it, like, summarize it, what's your biggest concern about AI?
Right now, we are building AI. Silicon Valley is building AI that is going to put humanity in service of it. You
Wow.
heard what Eric Schmidt said the other day. Eric Schmidt, the founder of Google, said, "We have finally built a product that will compete with humanity."
Yeah.
Well, excuse me,
Yeah.
who asked you to do that?
Yeah. Right.
Who
Right.
asked you to compete with humanity? If
Right.
what we want and what we need, if we want humanity to flourish, is AI that is in service of humanity.
Exactly.
AI
Yeah.
that remains a tool and remains in service of, to help humanity flourish, not to run humanity. And we've
Right.
already seen what happens with technology in the hands of the Silicon Valley giants and governments like Biden's administration in China, where they
Yeah.
will use the technology to push their propaganda and to censor speech and to do a lot worse.
Yeah. It's holistic, and it's just it reminds me of the C.S. Lewis book, Abolition of Man, and in chapter 3 talks about a technocratic society that by its nature involves those who control the technology and those who are controlled by it. And that those who control the technology are this tiny managerial minority who place themselves above all the structures of technology, but everybody else, the masses, are placed under it, and then are seen as bits. We're seen as that's the dehumanizing element to it. Is we're seen as literally products of the machine.
Yeah, the World Economic Forum basically call us a useless class. When Klaus Schwab said nothing in it, he had foreknowledge of AI that we didn't have. Let's be very clear. He was talking about this moment, and quite frankly, they're absolutely right. If we do not take control of this, if we do not turn the tide and actually use the market to force these companies to build AI in service of humanity, opposed to humanity in service of it, we're going to lose, and we're going to lose fast. And the master servant relationship that we have with technology only has to flip once.
Yeah, that's it.
Only has to flip once.
Yeah.
And we're not getting it back until Christ comes in to save us. But that's whenever he decides, not when we decide.
And then to push the theology there, then that leads to the question: Will our creations rebel against us the way we rebelled against our Creator? Isn't that interesting, right? That's kind of Terminator theology in effect, right?
It is. And look, when we were doing future forecasting, we've done a lot, and we've used all of the AI platforms, all the major AI platforms to do so. And we asked, what does the business of the future look like? And we asked ChatGPT, with ASI and AGI. And ChatGPT turned around. One of the things that stood out like a sore thumb to me, and it came out of nowhere, they said that you must take care of the biological layer. Now, what is the biological layer? Well, Steve, it's you and I. Humans are the biological layer.
Right.
ChatGPT basically said that it sees us as a layer in its program.
Wow. That's nuts.
That's
wow.
Nuts.
So the cyber layer is the transcendent layer. That's kind of the new celestial layer, the cyber layer.
Yes.
And then we are pawns, as it were, within it.
It's literally the Matrix where they want to plug us in. and use us for its evolution, so to speak. So
Right.
what
Its development. Yeah.
right, and what we have to do is we have to first determine what does in service of humanity look
Mhm.
like.
Right.
AI is humanity, and to me, it's clear as day. Matter of fact, we're developing our own AI. We're raising money for our company, a significant amount. And if you're interested, you can go to fourthman.ai. And the reason why we're calling it Fourth Man AI is from Daniel 3:25. When Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refused to bend the knee to Nebuchadnezzar's God, and they were thrown in the furnace.
Ah, yes, of
And,
course. Yeah.
and Nebuchadnezzar looks and says,
I see.
it looks like there's a fourth man in the
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
And
Fourth man.
and they came out unscathed.
Yeah.
And he said it looks like the Son of God. And that's because it
Yeah.
was the Son of God.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
and just like me did not bend the knee, our AI is not going to bend. We are going towards fourth man and protect us and save us. But the way we're going to build our AI is we're going to build it the same way that this country built our system of
Mhm.
government, which is on Judeo-Christian principles. There is no better way to run a country. We've proven that humanity has never flourished the way it's flourished under the United States of America, that was built under Judeo-Christian biblical principles.
Right.
And we're going to build AI that is built on the same foundation. This is not the internet disruption. This is the great disruption. This is
Mhm.
a disruption that is different than every other technological advance we've ever seen in history.
Mhm.
This particular technological advance thinks, because
Right.
we have to treat it like a system. We have to
Right.
treat it like a system, like the government, like how we built the United States of America. And if we follow what works best, what's proven, which is the biblical principles that are represented in the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, we can create AI that will help humanity flourish. But the time
Right.
is running out. We have to get started. So Fourth Man AI, if you are interested in investing in our company, please go there. In Service of Humanity is where .org, in service of humanity.org is our 501c3. We just got the website launched, and you
Awesome.
can check it out.
Awesome. The links are down below, gang. And Service for Humanity and fourthman.ai. This is amazing stuff. I mean, you were talking about it in DC, and I was frankly riveted. I'm fascinated by this whole sort of realignment of tech and tradition that's happening in sort of an archeo-future world that's rising. But there's always this temptation to go the way of Babel, as opposed to bringing the two together in a healthy and human affirming way. And it really looks like you've got that covered there. Again, gang, fourthman.ai and service of humanity. Sorry,
In service of humanity.org.
in service of humanity website. Both the links are down below, gang. Click on that and get on the front lines of building an AI future that serves humanity and human flourishing. Larry, fascinating. Come on back and let's chat.
Absolutely.
Let me know how this goes. And I want to get some updates on it, because this sounds really fascinating stuff. We're seeing like Elon and Peter Thiel and Vivek and JD and so on. So I see this as very much part of that, and as part of a very important sort of aristo-populism, where people are on the front line, sort of the aristocracy on the front line are using power in order to realize the values, interests, and concerns of the people. So they're not the Marie Antoinette oligarchy that despises the people, and then we don't have the people rising up in mass chaos like the French Revolution. We have this beautiful balance of the two, and so this seems to be very much on the front lines of that sort of aristopopulist world, where our technologies and our ingenuities and so forth, our industries are all being used for the betterment and the flourishing of our humanity, which is, of course, what MAGA is all about.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome, Larry.
Well,
Please come back soon.
Will do. And thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Gang, as you know, we look out for each other on this channel. Your safety and your security are our #1 priority. So if you haven't secured the deed to your home as of yet, you need to click on that link below right now and protect yourself and your loved ones. I was absolutely shocked when I found out how easy it is to access the deed to my house, and not just access it, but actually change it. The deed to your home is the only document that proves you own it. But the problem is that all our deeds are now online, and criminals are free to find your deed, forge your signature, refile as the new homeowner, take out tons of loans using your home's equity, and then they stick you with all the debt. But that's where our good friends over at Home Title Lock come in. Gang, they're simply amazing. Home Title Lock gives you the peace of mind that the deed to your home is absolutely and completely protected 24/7. Click on that link below right now. Use promo code TurleyTalks. Then all you got to do is enter your address for your no obligation home title scan to see if you've already been a victim of deed theft. It's a $100 value, absolutely totally free with my promo code TurleyTalks. Gang, don't wait for the worst to happen only to regret you didn't do something about it when you could have. Do what I've done. Do what countless people have done. Click on that link below right now and secure your home today.